Oklahoma. Lost the game in Norman last night, 41-34 to Kansas State. We're going to dig really deep into the Oklahoma side of things here in a second, but I want to just make sure we mention how impressive of a showing that was from Kansas State. We previewed this game. We didn't think Oklahoma would cover that 13.5. We did not think Kansas State was going to win that game. I'll just be straight up with you. We didn't see that happening. But the matchup that Kansas State presented in the line of scrimmage was extremely impressive. Chris Kleiman has that program playing their style of football, their brand of football. I was really impressed with what they brought to the table. Deuce Vaughn, 5'6", one of the toughest guys in the country. I don't care what position you're playing. Leads the Big 12 in rushing, for a reason. Adrian Martinez, the Nebraska transfer. I don't care who you support. You may even be an Oklahoma fan, so this might land a little bit weird with you. But you can't help but feel just a little bit happy for Adrian Martinez. After all that he went through from his time at Nebraska, to come out and have a game like this, to really, it feels like reached his potential last night, you just feel good for the guy. Now, what will Kansas State be the rest of the way? That's why they play the games. But they've proven they've got a lot under the hood to do some really good things. We're not going to go too much more into the Kansas State side because I think there's more to learn about Oklahoma. But for Kansas State, they showed they're going to be a problem in that Big 12 conference. Will they win it? I don't know. Will they ruin somebody else's chances to win it? You better believe it. They are not done playing spoiler. I think they want to play a little bit more than spoiler throughout the rest of the year. So let's talk about Oklahoma. Brent Venables obviously distraught in the post-game press conference, but I think we need to make sure that we get this out in the open. Everything that Oklahoma wants to do from a long-term perspective is still in front of them. The goals for them are win the Big 12, play for the college football playoff, play for a national championship. The way that the committee has proven they work, they would likely weight this loss more against them if it happened in November. Happened the last week of September. Do you ever want to lose a game? Of course not. But everything Oklahoma wants to do is still in front of them. That's first and foremost. Second, this wasn't a meltdown team-wide. We're not going to throw shade at Miami, but just use them as an example. Middle Tennessee pretty much did what they wanted against Miami. I mean, on both sides of the ball, Miami has issues. Oklahoma last night played well enough to win on offense. Dillon Gabriel, no interceptions, 4 touchdowns, over 300 yards, ran the offense like a boss. Eric Gray, over 100 yards on the ground. Oklahoma has the offense to be really, really good. Now, defensively, goes without saying, didn't play well enough. Gave up 275 yards on the ground. I don't care how many points you score. It's hard to win a game when those are the yards on the ground you're giving up, folks. Just the way it is. It's hard to do anything from a game plan perspective to supplement that or to try and combat that. Just the way that the game works, folks. So here's my question for Oklahoma defensively. Brent Venables talked a lot about, hey, I was surprised by our defense's performance because I've seen them be much better in those situations. We didn't execute the game plan. Obviously, didn't execute the game plan. But is it a tweak here and there, like a leaky faucet where, hey, we just got to tighten up a few screws, make a couple adjustments, and we're good to go? Football's funny that way. A little can go a long way in a game plan and a scheme perspective. That could very well be the case. Where you run into trouble for Oklahoma is if it's not about game plan, it's about the dudes you got on the field. If you legitimately just can't win your one-on-one matchups in the trenches at that second level, if that's the issue, well, then Oklahoma is at a different place than I think a lot of us thought they were. So the verdict is still out on this defense. Offense has been what we thought it would be, but the defense, clearly, you need more from. Is it an adjustment, or is it a personnel issue? Something to watch for in the future for Oklahoma. I'll end it with this. This is a fork in the road moment for this Oklahoma program. It just is. You now have the opportunity to learn from this and get better and run the table the rest of the way. Or do you let this one loss turn into 2 losses, 3 losses, and you kind of get off the rails? I would imagine that this Brent Venables coach team has a strong enough culture in place to where they're going to respond in a positive way. But let me point to the 2017-2018 Oklahoma team. First week of October, Iowa State hands them an L. 38-31. This is a team with Baker Mayfield playing quarterback. One of the best to come through there. What happened then? Oklahoma, they talk about that being the best thing that happened to them that season because they responded, they took that fork in the road, ended up winning the Big 12, playing for a college football playoff. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with this team, but I am saying it's not off the table. Just about everything in life is how you respond. So for Oklahoma, how do you respond? 41-34, Kansas State came into Norman and won that game. We're going to see about the Sooners now. We're going to see the stress test now after a loss. When you get squeezed a little bit, what comes out? Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.